Oh, hello there, everyone. So good to see you. You know, I would have prepared a script for this intro, but I'm on vacation. So is Mario. So, how about you just go check up on him instead? A vacation became the very premise for the 3D adventure that would succeed the iconic Super Mario 64, and despite how much sense it would make to release this with the launch of the GameCube, this game was not available until almost a year later. It was in fact Luigi who would be the first-party headliner for the launch of this console. But you know what this is, it's about Super Mario Sunshine and how very divisive this one game can be, even now. There's a lot of good about Sunshine, a lot of elements that started here and are still facets of Mario today, but there's also a lot of bad, as in questionable decisions in game design and overall misdirection with its identity. So get a nice cold drink and have a seat with me. We're gonna try and broadly break down why there are those who like and dislike one of Mario's most unusual adventures.
Super Mario Sunshine! Woohoo!
This was the very first lead directing role for designer Yoshiaki Koizumi, as well as the first Nintendo first-party game after the late Satoru Iwata became president of Nintendo. The game's development began after showing Super Mario 128 and following the critical and commercial success of a game that I love, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. But the real question, how do we make this game fresh and interesting compared to Super Mario 64? We don't want to do the exact same thing, right? Well, that's when Koizumi, the madman that he is, suggested that Mario use a water pump, of all things. Who's gonna greenlight this? At first, the team of Koizumi and producers Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka thought that these features in the overall world would be too out of place, but in time, the plot and characters were greenlit, and we had another then rare Mario game featured outside of the Mushroom Kingdom. I don't think anyone is lining up to hear about the plot of a Mario game, but I'll recap it anyways. Aboard her fancy airplane, Princess Peach as well as Mario, Toadsworth, and a handful of Toads all take a trip to the wonderful Isle Delfino. However, everyone is too distracted to see a strange little jumping man in the promotional video, one that only Peach catches sight of. Upon landing at the airstrip, the crew makes a hard stop before the plane collides with a bunch of, what is it, Toad?
What's this icky paint-like goop? It's moving!
Oh yeah, this game features full voice acting in the cutscenes. Blew my mind just to hear Toad speak like a person. Being the only capable person within several hundred miles, it is up to you to investigate. You discover a curious little water pump near the sludge, as if it was waiting for you. Say hello to Flood, the Flash Liquidizer Ultra Dousing device. It wakes up, greets Mario, and flings him into a tutorial. The R button wasn't really utilized in Mario 64. It had very limited camera options. Now, the camera was fully controllable with the C-stick, freeing up the use of the now pressure-sensitive trigger of the R button. All of Flood's actions can be utilized with this button, and you can switch between two nozzles with the X button. More on those nozzles later. I can't really tell if they wanted us to think this little thing was cute or not. The drone voice doesn't really do it any favors. So what happens after he selflessly helps the poor people of Isle Delfino by cleaning up this mess? He gets arrested and put into one of the most aggressively one-sided trials I've ever seen in any video game. Like seriously, whatever version of Fantasy Los Angeles that Phoenix Wright lives in has got nothing on this. The defendant doesn't get an attorney, there's no jury, the judge immediately overrules the objection that Peach raises, no evidence was shown, Mario clearly has an alibi as he was with multiple people while in transit, which was likely when the crime was committed. And in the end, we get the most depressing shots of Mario we've ever seen in the history of Nintendo. His yippies taken from him, his wahoos gone. Blood, for some reason, conveniently knows the lore of Isle Delfino and shares how the shine sprites are what give the island its radiant beauty. And so it's up to you to find as many as you can, 120 in all. Not long into your search, you meet your mysterious doppelganger, Shadow Mario, who is the true culprit behind the grimy crimes of this island. And then you realize everyone is just kind of blind? Literally, this entire location is in broad daylight, and you can't tell this shadowy figure from the colorful one. Okay, well, not broad daylight because the shines are missing. You know what I mean. The Piantas, I guess this is not the Mushroom Kingdom, so they probably don't know Mario. But Peach? Come on. Well, these were the times in which she was pretty much only there to be stolen, which is just so disrespectful. She's a little no thoughts head empty in this game, which is an era I'm glad we are far away from now. You fight off pretty much the exact same boss you did at the airstrip and dive into your first proper world. At this point, you've probably gotten a fair handle on how FLUDD works by now. Nearly all of your actions can be performed while using FLUDD at the same time. Running, jumping, swimming, what have you. You can press the Y button to go over the shoulder and get some accurate spraying in. If you spin the control stick and jump, you'll do a spin jump, where you can cover a wide area of water if needed. Spin jumps are my favorite, and they need to come back more often. Wall jumps are way easier in this game now, as you stick to walls and slide down them. This established the way Mario would interact with walls and perform wall jumps in every single title going forward, from the 3D to the 2D titles, particularly in the new Super Mario Bros. Series. There's a lot of fun, new contextual interactions too, like these springy ropes that you can use to jump higher with more momentum. There's also what I call the slip and slide move. If you spray water and then dive into it, you can slide at high speeds from one place to another. If you're very familiar with Super Mario 64, you'll pick it up fairly easily, I'd say. Side jumps, wall jumps, the standard fare, they're easy enough to adapt to, and you'll likely be just fine as you collect 10 shine sprites, which is when the plot takes a twisty turn. You're never gonna believe what happens. After bouncing around the first 3 locales and collecting 10 shine sprites, this weird boat shows up at the edge of Delfino Plaza. To my amusement, Peach is announced and kidnapped, again, by the ever-forgettable Delfino emergency broadcast system. At least Nintendo was aware of how cliched this was getting in 2002. This opens up the route to Peanut Park, which I always laugh at how weird this sequence is. Why does he have to get blasted and not just warp in like the other places? Also, the trajectory is just so bad. How does he land in Peanut Park when it looks like they launched him into the stratosphere? Peanut Park is where you discover the big revelation. Uh-oh, spoiler alert for a 23-year-old game. 23 years? After a crazy roller coaster ride against a mechanical Bowser, Shadow Mario appears with Peach and reveals the truth. It's Bowser's son, Bowser Jr. Wait, and the mother?
Mama, Peach. I'm your mama?
Oh boy. Peach, please, I know I'm just a guy, but I'm pretty sure you would know if you were carrying a child and if you gave birth to a turtle. Nintendo really went out of their way to make sure she was not the sharpest light bulb in the kitchen drawer. We also learned that it was in fact Professor Egad who gave the magic paintbrush to Junior. Which, I gotta know, along with being the one who also made FLUDD, is this like some kind of marketing scheme for his products? Or something more vile? He literally made the problem and the solution to said problem with these 2 items. Items of which I must wonder, why is there only one of each on the entire island? Is he trying to be some kind of arbiter, supplying the villain and the hero with the tools of destruction and justice in an enclosed area? Is this a Persona 4 situation? If you know, you know. Is Professor Elvin Gad watching, waiting inside that little wooden hut in the middle of nowhere, tuning in to Channel Delfino or whatever, and eagerly anticipating whether the island is cleaned up or covered forever in sludge and pollution? Is he or is he not the true villain of Super Mario Sunshine? I'm sure he's probably just a weird little old man with nothing better to do. Beyond being able to spray water, Egad also designed FLUDD to have extra nozzles. The main default one you'll be using other than spraying is the hover nozzle. I'm not a fan of the hover nozzle. Not because it isn't useful, no, it is integral to the game. That is in fact the problem. The game wants you to use this nozzle so much to the point where FLUDD is backseating me to use it more. No, I don't think I will. But before I go off on hovering in this game, there are 2 other more interesting, if not underutilized nozzles here. One is the turbo nozzle, which will launch Mario forward at high speeds. While it's difficult to move left and right on land, you can freely glide across the water like you're wave racing. This is awesome, though you barely ever really get to do it. The places where I remember using it the most are in some of these special areas, and the landing strip from the beginning of the game once you can go back to it. Unfortunately, it's kind of a forgettable power-up. The rocket nozzle, however, gets a little more utility. After charging it up, Mario gets launched super high, making any vertical platforming challenge less daunting. This is by far the most practical and utilized power-up in the entire game, to the point where it's used in the final battle. Not that there's a lot of power-ups to begin with. When it comes down to it, Super Mario Sunshine gives off some unusual impressions. FLUDD is an entirely new thing to get used to, which might turn some people away from it. Why am I squirting everywhere as Mario? Why does every stage feel kinda samey? Why can't I play with Yoshi? But wait, Yoshi is here! He just wasn't really advertised as the main selling point of this game, unfortunately. Which I am utterly shocked by. Yoshi was kinda given the back seat in this game. It did establish the feel of riding Yoshi in a 3D game, although this wasn't really refined until Super Mario Galaxy 2. But for a game about cleaning everything up, they did Yoshi dirty. You can jump, flutter jump, eat things, spit, spew water, or juice rather. Listen, there's no sanitary way to describe this. Yoshi hurls an endless supply of juice from his gut on enemies, friends, it doesn't matter. I know we had to have a function adjacent to FLUDD squirting water, but was the solution really to squirt strawberry lemonade from Yoshi's mouth? They could have just had Mario keep using FLUDD on Yoshi's back, but then I guess that would make it seem like Yoshi wasn't doing enough things. And for some reason, there's only pink, purple, and orange Yoshis. If you don't feed them enough fruit, they will straight up shrivel up and dehydrate, I guess? If you go into water that is too deep, Yoshi will melt and die. What is he, made of sugar? Do not add water to your Yoshi squeeze from concentrate, it will dilute and destroy the flavor. Sadly, Yoshi is just kind of broken sometimes, and I don't mean the good kind of broken. It's like when you're not sure if your pet is okay or not, and so you ask Reddit if you need to go see a vet. But he's an orange. Maybe I should have expected this single brain cell behavior. I would say that one of the weirdest first impressions this game has is how bosses are handled. Pretty much every 3D Mario title lets you play around with Mario and get the controls down before you are tested on the first boss. But Sunshine throws you right into it. Get FLUDD and then immediately fight the gooey piranha. It's not hard, but it is repetitive, and then you fight the same exact boss another 1, 2, 3 more times in like within 20 minutes of each other. There is a wider variety of bosses that you fight, like Goober Blooper and PD Piranha, within the same time frame, but fighting the same enemy this many times in a row didn't fill me with a lot of hope. There's some pretty memorable ones too. PD obviously is a staple to the Mario franchise now, despite how uncomfortable the method to hurt him is. I seriously had no idea how to fight this guy the first time around, because my brain deduced that plants like water, so I shouldn't give him any. We got Goober Blooper, who FLUDD continuously yells at me and tells me I have to find a different way to fight it. No, I don't think I will. There's the Alolan Wiggler, who is massive, and the way that he's just charging through like a steam train with the music speeding up after each hit, it gives such a fun sense of urgency. And then there's my favorite, the fight against Big Man. This was really one of those moments that Nintendo was showing off just how many differently individually functioning things could be moving at the same time. All of this while each one was inking their turf simultaneously. Unfortunately, you also have some stinkers in here. The eel battle, while I love the concept of cleaning its teeth rather than actually fighting it, is agonizing because of the underwater physics. I swear I'm cleaning and spraying this tooth, but it will just not register sometimes. And probably the worst boss fight in this game, the Big Boo in the casino. We got King Boo at home. It's not particularly hard, you just have to wait so much. The roulette decides what you get attacked with, and you just have to keep on waiting for the fruit to show so you can hit him. An interesting idea, but not well executed at all. You can't blame this game for wanting to try new and weird things. The entirety of the GameCube era was taking known IPs and doing experimental, unusual concepts with them. Luigi sucking ghosts with a vacuum, Metroid becoming a first-person shooter, Zelda taking a completely different art direction, a Kirby racing game, multiple Star Fox games that have you running on foot, putting Fire Emblem in 3D after 8 other games, Mario using a water pump. A lot of these examples are the games taking a new concept and largely making it its entire identity. But what happens when you add a new idea and try to force it into a formula that already was established and worked fine without it? Sometimes it works seamlessly, other times there are growing pains. And boy, did people have, and still have, opinions about the pains they shared with this game. Super Mario Sunshine isn't perfect. In fact, it might not even be good. There's some aspects of this game that I can't stand, and I don't see myself doing 100% completion of this game ever again because of how poor some of the game design choices were. I thought you were only supposed to share good vibes. No, I don't think I will. You know what? We can have a whole discussion about this. Is that what you want? Hey, Crit, where you at? We'll do this right now. Hello everyone, it is so good to see you. Welcome to another GVG discussion. I'm joined here by Brandon and John. We're here to talk about Super Mario Sunshine. Brandon, what is your opinion of Super Mario Sunshine?
Super Mario Sunshine sucks.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and joining me here today. If you like what you see, you can leave a subscribe and comment to the channel. Thank you for watching. Till we meet again, I'm out of here. Got a video to finish.
It sucks.
Sorry, I just needed that out of my system. Look, I don't actually hate the game or anything. There are genuinely a lot of good merits to it. Sometimes it's just fun to make fun of it. But I just don't think people critically observe all aspects of the game enough. One of the first things that come to mind when playing a 3D Mario game is Mario himself. Is it natural, and does he move well with the environment and world that he's designed into? I'm not certain what's the best way to explain this, but I'm going to try. When comparing how Mario moves in Sunshine compared to 64, there's a very distinct difference to me. In Mario 64, it's like he has a certain weight to him. When you do a side jump, or jump, dive, and flip back upright, you feel this kind of defined weight to the character. But when it comes to Sunshine, he has this somewhat more weightless feel to him. He does mostly snap into place, but moments when he slips out and doesn't stick to the environment gives me the impression that this game did not have the ample time or quality assurance put into it. Imagine you have a stuffed animal and the bottom is filled with those little beans. You can throw it or make it land somewhere and it feels like it has a specific weight to it when it lands. But in Sunshine, Mario is like a similar stuffed plush, but only with stuffing and fluff inside. There is weight, but he feels more floaty and it's harder for me to predict how far I can move him. I realize this might be a strange comparison, but this is the best way I feel like I can describe it. There are some movements, like how in Mario 64, sometimes he has to make a full circle to turn around instead of making an immediate about face, which has ruined some of my runs. Another oddity is, when looking at other Mario games, he needs some build-up before he reaches his full running speed. But in Sunshine, Mario will just go. That might not be a problem to some people, and others enjoy how snappy he is, but there's just that little bit of inconsistency here. I wanted to bring up my woes with the hover nozzle again for just a moment. I've never played a platformer where I had to actively wait in between my jumps. When you rely too much on the hover nozzle, it really impacts the pacing of your gameplay. If I jump and I try to correct myself with the spin in Mario Galaxy, I either make it or I don't. There's no waiting in between. But when I have to wait the entire duration of the hover nozzle to see if I make it to a platform or not, I start to get impatient. When you give the player the option to correct themselves with much less limitation at all times, and find yourself using it like muscle memory so often, is that a skill issue or a fault of mechanical design? The spin or cappy are both excellent examples of adding a new move to Mario's kit, being contextually fitting to that game's world, as well as having practical usage in platforming. The spin is used for attacking, interacting, and that little extra boost that you might need in a jump. Very useful in a game that has sometimes unwieldy anti-gravity physics. And it will always feel so satisfying to perform that jumping combo where you throw Cappy, jump off of it, throw it again, make another dive. He just makes everything about that game feel so seamless. Flood, however, leans a little too hard in relying on it to be different from Mario 64. Instead of being an addition to Mario's moves in the same way that the spin or Cappy were, Sunshine became overly dependent on it. It wasn't just there to supplement Mario's experience, it was made to partially define it. And you can make the argument that Cappy defined the Odyssey experience as well, but I feel it did so in a much more graceful way. One of the main characteristic features of a Mario game are power-ups, and the catcher mechanic is, at its core, a huge list of power-ups for Mario to use in specific, designated areas. They're all temporary, and you mainly control Mario himself through the majority of the game. But in Sunshine, you are stuck with Flood for nearly the entire time. In those moments where they do take it away, you feel, I don't know, kinda naked and less capable. The game should not condition me to feel like Mario isn't capable when it's just Mario. One of my biggest actual criticisms is that Mario does not have a long jump, with or without Flood. Not having a long jump in a 3D title should be considered a crime. But we do get the spin jump, my beloved, so I guess we have to forgive it. If I want to 100% this game, I'm gonna have to deal with these rules through 120 shine sprites across 8 different worlds. That's right, there's just 8, compared to the 15 of Super Mario 64. The variety of stages, or lack thereof, is kind of unheard of for a Mario game. Bianco Hills is your standard grass stage, Rico Harbor is like a hybrid water and town stage, Gelato Beach is a beach, Peanut Park is sometimes half a beach, other times an amusement park, which I do quite enjoy the setting of. Serena Beach is, well, another beach, kinda, and a hotel. Noki Bay is your water level, but also with a lot of platforming. And Pianta Village is a grass stage that flips between day and night. Do you see a little bit of repetition here? How ironic, right, when in the year 2025, we are fatigued by the usual biomes of the Mario franchise. And yet, it's some of those biomes that we were kind of missing here. In comparison to Mario 64, it's true, we also have Grass Stage 2, Water Stage 2, Snow Stage 2, and so on. But we get some crazy ideas too, like adapting Giant Land from Super Mario Bros. 3 into Tiny Huge Island, or an obstacle course inside Tick-Tock Clock. There's not really any one level in Super Mario Sunshine that makes me think that it has a clear visual identity other than the overarching tropical theme. If nothing else, it's the main hub Delfino Plaza that stands out the most. We do get some very nice contextualization of where one locale is in relation to the other. That's some very satisfying design. But it's because we have so few worlds that the collection of shine sprites starts to feel kind of repetitive. And my goodness, bless your soul if you want to go for 100% completion. The blue coins, my good, don't even get me started on the blue coin. So to start off, the blue coins might be the most criminal thing Super Mario Sunshine has done. Each world has 30 blue coins scattered around in them, with some more in Delfino Plaza and other areas. If you collect 10, you can trade them for a single shine sprite. And that right there is a big problem. Look, I don't necessarily mind a collectathon, but for Mario in this context, it's kinda odd. Because this means that instead of making a world or mission where you can play through and earn a unique shine sprite, it was designated to a set of 10 coins. There are 240 blue coins in this game. That means 24 out of 120 shine sprites do not have a specific mission tied to them. 1/5 of this game's main collectible is obtained through exchanging coins. Coins which, mind you, don't have any way of getting individually tracked. This collection screen is your only indication. If it doesn't say 30, you just gotta poke around and look everywhere. Beyond that, some blue coins only appear in certain missions. So you might have to comb through each area multiple times to find a bird that just happens to be hanging out in the right spot for you to squirt down. Super Mario 64 might have a problem of doing Grass Level 2, Water 2, Snow 2, and so on, but at least these worlds had stars with missions specifically made in mind for them. People might then go, oh, but so many of those stars are gotten by getting 100 coins in a stage, which of course isn't the most creative idea, having to do it 15 times. Sunshine also required 100 coin stars. However, it is less painful as there are less worlds. But at least all the levels were created intentionally with more than 100 coins in each one. It's like a test to challenge you to visit every corner of this world to see how many coins you can find. Not every mission in Super Mario Sunshine has 100 coins in them. Some are more optimal than others. And yeah, granted, some in Super Mario 64 are a total nightmare, like in Tick-Tock Clock and Rainbow Ride, but at least you can keep playing in the world without it kicking you out. Unless something really dumb happens. I don't know if this was my fault or not. To help circumvent the lack of levels compared to Mario 64, they bloated the Sunshine stages with more shines, including these unknown question mark shines. I guess this was their way of including like the Castle 15 secret stars, but some of these are entirely specific to certain missions. Like you have to go to the Blooper Racing Man and just happen to race a second time with an even better score than the first time to get a hidden shine sprite. But there's no indication to do so. I'm pretty positive you either found out by a friend or a guide somewhere. The game is riddled with moments and examples of how it did not have enough time in development and corners were cut all over the place, from game optimization to difficulty balancing. We have seen all the glitches and places that you can clip through in Mario 64 because of people who have intentionally broken the game wide open, like speedrunners. Most of those you will never see on a normal run. That game was very carefully crafted and does not have quite as many glitchy areas or unrefined collision detection as its successor. At least nothing that your average player would see. But weird stuff can happen throughout the entirety of Mario Sunshine. Some of it is just kinda hilarious. The Sandbird stage is pretty much everything that's wrong with this game's design philosophy and foundation. You are soaring around this tower until you are high enough to reach the top while collecting red coins on the way up. I'm gonna tell you right now, for as much as I've been avoiding using the hover nozzle, use it aggressively here, because I feel as though this is one of those instances where not everything was thoughtfully planned out. Collecting coins on a waving, moving platform? I mean, sure, why not? One of the issues here though is that when you jump, your gravity is not locked to the bird. When you jump, you'll nudge off to the side and your jumps appear shorter because you are slowly ascending. Another problem is if you want to collect all the blue coins. There's a nice handful of blue coins here on stationary clouds. So on the way up, you might want the blue coins, which are not actually moving, while going up with the momentum of the sandbird. Depending on where you are, you have to catch back up with the bird while also fighting the collision detection to either land back on the bird or just happen to grab a ledge if it lets you. If you mess up, you either die and start over, or you get stranded on a cloud. You could wait until it comes back again, I guess, but it takes so long that you might as well skydive off and start over again. This jank stage did not need blue coins. It is enough to deal with everything else here already. Can you imagine if you have like 1 or 2 blue coins left in the entire game and just happen to be here in a very specific special area of a mission? There is no way to confirm it until you go back and check yourself. And some of them are either just obscure to find or are difficult to get using the controls if you happen to just not be squirting in just the right way. And does no one ever question why this raccoon is holding an entire 5th of the island's guardian shine sprites hostage? Why doesn't the police come for this hoarder? The island needs these. People are going to die, I think. Though it is pretty funny to do a complete cash out of every blue coin all at once. This is simultaneously the most satisfying and disgusting thing I've ever felt. But I do think I've complained enough about blue coins. What about some more red coins, like... oh god, no. Do you know about the pachinko machine? Because I know about the pachinko machine. This could have been a fun level. This should have been a level where you launch up and land in the little bits like a pinball. Each little landing area has a red coin, 5 in total on the board. The problem is, you have to land in these little sections because if you miss, you die. This single area might have the most unstable collision detection in the entire game, forcibly launching you when there's not even any force pushing you in that direction. This one portion is just designed to propel Mario even if you try to game the system and wall jump your way up. And you can't stop it with something like the hover nozzle, which is supposed to halt momentum so you can correct yourself. If this was a mission where you didn't die by missing and it just funnels you back to start again, it would have been a lot more forgivable. Dying does not need to be a punishment in some missions. Just let the player try as many times as they need to, especially if your game with unfinished mechanics is going to be an extreme detriment to the player. Even after getting all 8 red coins, you still have to blast yourself up and pray that the crazy physics don't slide Mario into the abyss. As I touched on earlier, it's places without FLUDD that you realize just how much this game suffers without it. There are too many of these places that feel like they just couldn't think of anything else and decided to put the precursor to Toy Time Galaxy as a secret stage. Multiple times, these highlight just how unstable Mario can be when sticking to slopes and really just any uneven surface. I am still not sure how some of these are supposed to be optimally cleared. And even worse, I think every single one of these secret stages has a part 2 where you do have FLUDD now, but now you need to collect 8 red coins in the time limit. So was there really any point in doing this without FLUDD in the first place? Not to mention, some of these are just aggravating. The Chuckster stage? Ah, forget it, man. I can hardly trust myself to move around in this world, and now I have to rely on perfectly positioning myself in front of one of these guys to get a floating coin? Just throw me off of this mortal plane now. I don't think it's a stretch to say that this isn't the Super Mario 64 2 that a lot of us were waiting for. Heck, some of us will say that we didn't get that until Odyssey, but it took some chances, and now we have some staples in the Mario universe because of it. Isle Delfino sometimes makes an appearance. Peter over here is now a regular in side games now. Cataquax, the best new enemy of this game, sometimes show up as well. And most recently, they just earned their driver's license. I'm proud of you. And speaking of, Il Piantissimo, I guess retired from racing? He wants to go so fast, why isn't he in Mario Kart? Perhaps it's because when you lose, he just ends your whole career. Shine sprites make a constant appearance in the universe. Mario uses FLUDD in Smash now. I still prefer the tornado. And the most significant recurring character, Bowser Jr., who I guess we should wrap up business with him and his papa, huh? Not to hate even more, but this game requires you to finish the 7th mission of every single world before you can beat the game. Every 7th mission has you challenge Shadow Mario by running around and spraying him until he gives up, which again becomes predictable and repetitive, sealing away more shines that could have been received with more unique missions and objectives. It is such a weird restriction too. In Mario 64, I could get any stars that I wanted, and if I didn't want to get nearly every star in the wet dry world, I didn't need to. I just needed 70 to complete the game. But now it feels like I'm being forced to play most of this game to reach that prerequisite. Once you finally do, you unlock a Corona Mountain. Oh look! There's a fire world here after all. Don't get too comfortable. We have hover nozzle rights because you quite literally cannot clear this first section without it. At least I can't. Once you complete the Song of Fire and Spikes, you reach the boat. Oh, the boat. You might have come across the unsuspecting wooden boat at least once already, like in Noki Bay, but this is different. This wooden boat is on lava. Lava that will cook Mario into a spicy Italian meatball in one touch. You need to carefully, very carefully pump that water to navigate through this, because if you even so much as tap anything with the boat, it will give up all the will it has to keep going and die. This is even worse if you want to collect all 10 blue coins in this area, because there are plenty scattered in an open ring around the final area. After sailing the Sea of Pain, it gets way more easy. Rocket nozzle your way to the top and boom, cutscene. Here, Mario discovers Bowser and his son taking a bath with Princess Peach, and it's not as problematic as it sounds. This battle, this is the weirdest fight against Bowser ever. He is naked in the bath! You don't even touch Bowser in this fight. You go to all 5 corners of the bath so you can rock it up and slam it down. It's actually pretty chaotic, if not very short. Also, why is the music so emotional? Out of nowhere, you get hit with a piano score that makes it feel like the world is going to end. Seriously, is someone gonna die? Oh, wait, yeah, it's me. I'm going to die because I clipped through the broken floor. I just don't get it. Luigi had a more climactic fight with Bowser not even a year ago. After Mario decides that he's had enough, he table flips the entire bath, sending everyone straight back down the Isle Delfino. Peach and Mario are fine. That's everyone, right? Oh, blood? Can't we like go to repairs? Oh, he's dead. The shines come back, everyone is happy, and Bowser sounds silly with full voice acting. This is such a perfect shot for that one meme. After that, FLUDD gets repaired, and I'm like, was I supposed to care more than this? Can we break FLUDD some more? Listen, I know FLUDD did nothing wrong, I just need to channel my anger somewhere. He never came back anyways. But this is Super Mario Sunshine. What do you get for collecting all the shine sprites? Do we get to see Luigi and Egat on vacation? Infinite Yoshi who can go anywhere? Do we get... No, I don't think I will. This could have been an email. In fact, this could have been a postcard. Literally, a postcard. This should go on a postcard that you get for spending 300 My Nintendo Platinum points. This might in fact be one of the most underwhelming 100% completion rewards in any game that bothers to give you one. They could have just not given me anything, and I think I'd be less disappointed. The game just feels like it does the bare minimum to reward you at times. Over the course of Sunshine, you can talk to this man to get sunglasses which puts a filter over your screen. But after beating the game, you can get shades and a cool tropical shirt. Wow! You don't even keep it between stages. When you leave an area, you have to talk to this man again. Why? I don't want to listen to your dialogue in the terrible speech bubbles. And you know what? This is the only time I can rant about this. This is probably the worst text bubble UI I have ever seen in any game. It's not even a bubble, it's a stupid scroller sandwich. Is this supposed to emulate waves or radiating light or something? It's also just so annoying to listen to. Why does every single line have to use Foley from an episode of Looney Tunes? But at the end of the day, it's still a 3D Mario game that brought new ideas and concepts to the table. They wanted to create something different and unique, and they did. Did they do it successfully? I think it's going to depend on who you ask. It's okay if you don't want to play Super Mario Sunshine. I often don't want to play Super Mario Sunshine. My GameCube sometimes doesn't want to play Super Mario Sunshine. It's a matter of preference. You know, I am genuinely happy that more people are going to be able to play this. Not long ago, it was announced that Super Mario Sunshine will be coming to the Switch 2 on NSO. Eventually. That itself is very exciting because long ago, Sunshine was available for the Switch starting on September 18th, 2020 via the Super Mario 3D All-Stars. It was then removed on March 31st, 2021. We still ask and wonder, why? It is one of the great mysteries of Nintendo. Just like how if you happen to lose your hat, Mario begins to suffer shame because he is no longer a recognizable mascot. If Mario goes too long without his hat, he dies of cringe. Honestly, if I go long enough without my headband, same, Mario, same. Thank you all so much for watching. Now the real question, do you like Super Mario Sunshine? Have you tried it before? Have I adjusted your opinion of the game at all, or should I give up all of my gamer rights? Go ahead and respectfully tell me in the comments below. I have now done this with 3 GameCube games, and I wish I could do them faster, but they take a while to play, record, and do all the things. So please, I ask that you look at the other videos I did in this format for F-Zero GX and Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. I am really excited to start doing more of these a little more frequently now that NSO is going to release GameCube on Switch 2. And if you want to contribute in ways to help us keep going, you can support us on Patreon, follow us on Bluesky, and watch us on Twitch. Now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go recline somewhere with a drink. Remember to take some time for yourself out there. Till we meet again,